Okay, so right now I'm very excited. We have an amazing guest, uh, Dr. Natalia Wiechowski. She's an amazing person, amazing human being. I had the opportunity to talk to her just a little while ago. And to be honest, I'm very excited about this whole Facebook Live. All right, so here we go. We're just going to add her into the conversation and bear with us.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
So, Natalia, thank you so much for being here today. And I'm sure that everybody in LA and Mexico, around the world, around the Hispanic world who speak English are going to totally enjoy this. And I think it's going to be an amazing, amazing interaction today. So thank you so much for being here with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm really excited, and I'm sure we're going to have loads of fun while adding value and making people think and laugh.
That's it. That's it. And that's the spirit. Love it. Okay, so Nat, here's my starting question. And I think a lot of people out there in our audience want to know. Personal branding. What is it and why is it so important?
I think the easiest quote or the easiest idea to start with that personal branding is what other people say about you when you are not in the room. That is a quote by Jeff Bezos, which means that you already have a personal brand. It's not that you could sit down there and say, do I actually want the personal brand? Or why do I need the personal brand? You have one. And that's very important to understand it, because you can either stay a victim, in quotation marks, of your circumstances and ignore the fact and allow other people to say who you are, what you stand for, what makes you great, what makes you maybe even mediocre. Or you say, forget about that. I'm going to take ownership of my life. I'm going to sit down and understand or define for myself what makes me great, what my goals are, what my mission is, and then with the right strategy, share that insight with the world in order to reach your targets, in order to make an impact, and in order to live a healthier and more balanced life.
I'm going to be honest, that just scared me a little bit because if it's what people say about you when you're not there, wow, that's a pretty big deal right there. And
Yep.
usually, what happens with a person like, for example, like me? Um, I never really actually cared what other people thought about me. I just go on in my life and do the best that I can do. And sometimes I get good feedback. Sometimes I get, criticized. And most of the time I just go, it's okay, you know? But with a person, like let's talk about entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, if you're running your own business, this is going to be a big deal. Or if you want to get a job, for example, it's no longer about the old paradigms of having a CV, is it? You
No
know?
way. Forget the CV.
Right on. So what do we do? What does an entrepreneur do? What does an entrepreneur do? What does a solopreneur do? And what does a person who wants to go out there and just get a job that inspires them do?
Okay, there are two scenarios that we have. So let's start with the solopreneur or the entrepreneur. I mean, businesses need to make money in order to grow, into order to help other people, right? So the ultimate goal of personal branding when you are a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, a business, is to generate more income and ideally work with your dream clients, and hopefully also along the line make the world a better place. Because if you've done everything right, you have some sort of mission or even a vision, right? So for that, personal branding is some sort of communications tool or a leadership strategy that will get you there. So in order to be clear in your messaging, you really need to start with your basics, with your profile. So understand who you are, who your target audience is, what their problems are, what their fears are, understand on which social media channels they spend time on, And then based on that channels, I would start with one channel to make it easy. Then sit down and understand what kind of content serves them the most, and do I also like creating this content? So is it more articles? Is it status updates? Is it videos? What is it? And then once you have done all of these, like once you've thought about all of this, then make sure that you actually create content and network with people, reach out to people, help them, listen to their problems, and continuously add value. And through that, people will start to follow you, like your content, engage with you, and great opportunities or people or scenarios will find you, because you will turn into this lead magnet of awesomeness. And because you're continuously sharing your message, people say, I want a piece of that as well. I want to be like that as well. I want to learn from that person. I want to work with that person. So in the end, it is a great tool or strategy to literally make an impact, share your ideas, and then allow others to approach you. So you do not need to even do the hard sales or the hard sell, because you've paid it in advance with your content. So this is what works for the solopreneur and entrepreneur. For somebody who's looking for a job, I've just had a fantastic interview or a podcast interview with a lady who used to be a recruiter in Amazon. And she said that the recruiting system is broken. It doesn't work. You cannot send out 300, 400, 500 CVs and then complain that nobody got back to you, because in the majority of cases, people are so flooded with stuff, with work, with information, they will not be able to see your CV, or maybe even if they see your CV, you didn't do something eye-catching. You maybe send out a standard CV, which the majority of people do. So you might be a gem or a diamond, but because you didn't do something crazy or colorful or different, people don't see you. And then you take it personally and you hate yourself and you turn depressed. So change the game, work on your personal brand, tell me what you're the expert in, and then share that gift, share that knowledge. If you're a graphic designer, do a short video on which you're drawing something, hold it into the camera. You know, let people know that you're looking for a new opportunity. Fantastic. If you are somebody who's a project manager, then talk about the last project that you have managed, your lessons learned, your insight, your failures, and create a video on that, write an article about it, share it with the world. Do that over and over again. No lame excuses. No, but I don't feel like this and I'm not creative and today the sun doesn't shine. Do it until you're found. So this is the connection, the personal branding connection, which is based on create network, but also strategically reach out to people, send them connection requests, and find a way how you can add value to each other.
This is so interesting, because the game has changed, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
The game has totally changed. And I find it's interesting how I used to do a lot of coaching in the recruitment industry in the UK. In fact, I'm still a fellow of the Recruitment and Employment Confederation. And I found it very interesting how we search, or people search for CVs through keywords, bypassing really anything of real value in most people, and then rely on things like interviews and so on. And that was then, and now it still happens, but now people do a little Google search.
Yeah, exactly.
And love the Google search, right? And I've heard it from you, I've heard it from other people. If you're going to date somebody, somebody's going to Google you. You know? If you're going to be getting a job, they're going to Google you. If you're going to get a client, they're going to Google you. And whatever they do, they use Google for everything. Or they'll Facebook you and so on. That's a little bit scary in a way, because then where does the privacy end? And where does it actually start sort of like seeping into your professional life? Do we have any privacy anymore?
Well, that totally depends. I guess you need to keep in mind that you and only you decide how much information you are sharing with the world. So I have two questions that are usually very, very helpful. The first one is the mommy test. So ask yourself before every post, every picture, every repost, every video, every article, would you be okay, or would I be okay with my mom seeing that? And if the answer is no, you don't post it. Ouch. If you don't have a good connection to your mama, then ask yourself, would I be okay if this video, picture, whatever it is, comment, idea, would be printed or would be situated on the cover page of the leading newspaper in my country? If the answer is no, don't post it. Right? It's
Yeah.
so easy. But a lot of people forget that. And a lot of people especially post on platforms like Instagram or Facebook to show off or to show people how fancy they are or how hot and how sexy they are. And I'm like, you know that other people can use that against you one day. And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, ugh, okay, let's talk about the internet and how it works. So, right? It's like a lot of people just don't think. You know, if you have the urge to send sexy pictures of you to somebody, send it to your lover or to your husband or to your best friend, but don't share it on the internet. That's at least my opinion. I'm a little bit conservative when it comes to that, because again, people will Google you, and once something is in the internet, it's very difficult to get rid of it. So some people then say, yeah, but what is it that I share? You decide what people will see about you. So with personal branding, you can actually steer, or you can create, you can design an impression of you. So some people say, oh, isn't that fake? I was like, it's enhancing who you are, and it's feeding people with the right information to be perceived in a way that is aligned with your long-term targets to get a job or to get clients. And you can also stage a little bit of your privacy. Nobody knows if you have been eating at that fancy place yesterday or a week ago. You can also use hashtag Throwback Thursday or whatever hashtag. So, right? You know, you need to be a little bit creative and play a little bit with words and facts without lying. Just aligning it in a way that, again, that serves you. You do not owe anybody access to your private life. Only because other people do that, you do not need to post selfies. You do not need to post pictures of your family, your children, yourself at the beach, or whatever. You post whatever you are okay with posting. I think this is very important. Don't give in on the pressure just because the, excuse my expression, in quotation mark, stupid masses do that. It doesn't say anything about you. You do not need to follow every trend or that people do, unless you're a sheep or a lemming or whatever, but you are. You are an amazing, empowered individual. So please don't do stuff that your future you might regret one day.
Now, you've said a few things that, because of where I come from, it becomes even more interesting. Yeah, okay, I completely get the mommy thing. Completely get it. You know, there's some things that I just, you know, a mother doesn't deserve to see. Shouldn't. And that's it.
Yeah.
The paper one posed a very interesting question for people who come from countries like, for example, Mexico. Yeah. Mexico has had, you know, an independence war, a couple of revolutions, and so on. And people need to be able to voice their
ideas.
You know what? Let's just put it this way. It's the truth, like the flat out truth. People need to question leadership. Full stop. And forget about just Mexico. Everywhere in the world, people need to question leadership. And you have the right to question it, really. As long as you start with yourself.
Yep.
Now, the thing is, if you're doing it, how can you do this? How can you, if, for example, you're a rebel and you're a person with revolutionary ideas, and I don't mean revolutionary as in create new tech or create new new social media experiences or anything. I mean, revolutionary as in changing lives. Yeah, changing systems. I'm talking about the real deep revolution here that doesn't have to
Bring
be a
it
violent one,
on.
but
Yeah, yeah, no, of course. Yeah, got it. Okay.
so we're like that. So hand in heart, I am like that.
Yep.
Yeah, hand in heart, I am like that. Um, how would we really? Because the answer to the second one, which is would I be happy with people posting this in the front page of a newspaper in my country? The answer is I would, but I'd probably get killed for it. Yeah.
Oops.
So that kind of like makes your personal brand kind of dangerous, doesn't it? A little bit. But how
Yep.
can we actually do it? It's I have a lot of passion for all that. You know, I have a lot of passion for questioning leadership as a leadership coach.
Yep.
How could we really, if we have the desire to change the world, how can we use our personal brand to create profound change?
You said it in the side sentence. You need to start with yourself because there are so many talkers out there. And with a little bit of training, almost everybody can turn into a great public speaker. But people are tired of that. People want to see. A lot of people are not able to believe. They don't have the capability of faith. And I don't mean faith in the religious or spiritual way. I mean faith that you deserve better, that you can be more. There is this little voice or sound in them. Some people call it the whisper of the universe that says, you can be the change, do it, follow your passion, whatever it is, or design your passion, design your dream life. But then there's this other crazy voice saying, oh, who do you think you are? No, forget that. So by working on yourself and by becoming the change that you want to see in the world, basically that's something that Mahatma Gandhi said, right? He said, be the change you want to see in the world. By doing that, you will become more aligned and you will become more balanced. And you will understand that by being aggressive and by using the tools that everybody else uses, you will not create a true revolution and a true movement and true leadership. It has to be peaceful and it has to come from a place of abundance, which you can only symbolize, which you can only vibrate on if you have been through that. This is how you then turn into a real, authentic, crazy, in quotation mark, in a positive way, human being. So start with yourself. Work on yourself daily, at least 20 minutes, ideally 1 hour. Read, meditate. Meditation, by the way, is not a religious practice. It is a
Thank you.
tool. Yes, very important. It is a tool
Yes.
to declutter the garbage that is going on in your mind, because we have a lot, nah, you shouldn't, you don't deserve that all day. So do that. Learn to breathe properly, because we're running around through our day like no wonder why we're sick, because you don't breathe properly and our system needs oxygen. So breathe, meditate, read, sleep enough, stop eating crap food, which makes the voices in your head even louder, which is horrible for your immune system, which disconnects you from your gut feeling, because your gut is focusing on, it's like, what on earth is going on there? I cannot guide you when I need to process and digest all that crap, which is not even real food. So be gentle to your gut as well. Do all of that. And then, very important, get a coach, get a mentor, get a healer, get a therapist, get a monk, get a whatever. Work with as many experts as you need in order to overcome misperceptions, lame excuses, wrong beliefs, false beliefs, traumas, whatever it is. And when you do that, I promise you by 1,000,000% that, first of all, everybody who's vibrating on a lower level than you are will disappear out of your life mysteriously, in quotation marks, because they cannot stand your energy. You're too much, in quotation marks, which is amazing. And through that, you will then turn into this magnet, as we talked about in the beginning. You will also get the universe will send you the right people, and then together you can find ways how to spread your ideas, You will start collaborations. You will introduce each other to other people. This is then how you build a club, an organization, a movement, a tribe, a nation, in quotation marks, whatever it is. And when all of these people work on themselves, when we all come from a place of abundance, when we then all are able to express our feelings, our ideas, and our vision in a compassionate, kind, smart, and peaceful way, there is no way how the current system can be sustained. It's just not possible. And this is when everything will crash, but it will not crash because of violence. It will crash because it comes from a place of purity and clarity and unconditional love. As cheesy as this may sound, I think this is the way to go.
It's also a question of sustainability, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, the current system doesn't work. It's screwed up.
No. Yeah, yeah, we messed it up. And we could talk about ages about that, because I blame the Greeks. But that's just me. The Battle of Marathon, that's how far I go back, you know? The Battle of Marathon should never have been won by the Greeks. It should have been won by the Persians. That's me.
What to do? We cannot go back in time. We need to work on the now to make a better future.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You said something really important, and I know that Team Vandervliet is watching this, and that is breathe. You know, we've been talking about this for like 4 weeks now, and how important it is to be able to have a balance between your sympathetic and parasympathetic system, so you can actually be able to be the best expression of you that you can possibly be. You know, and it is an issue. We are breathing too shallow. We aren't doing it right. We're not clearing our mind. We're not relaxing enough. And it is important. And thank you for touching that point on that meditation is not a religion, because there's a lot of misconceptions about that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, there's a lot. And I pretty much would understand that the country you're in right now would probably have some misconceptions on it, which we're not going to touch. But anyways.
They don't actually. They don't.
We
celebrate International Yoga Day, and they bring in yogi and meditators from all around the world.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And they say everybody should meditate, and they say it's not a religious practice. And I was like, wow, amazing.
Wow. Well, that's really cool. That's really, really cool. Here they should do it a lot more. They don't. Here in Spain, I see maybe 2 or 3 groups of people doing a little bit of Tai Chi at the beach, maybe an isolated person doing a little meditation. But I think meditation is a good way to clear that buffer.
Yes.
You know, because do you know, by any chance, do you know how much information the brain can handle?
No.
About 2 terabytes.
Wow.
That's nothing.
I just want to say, compared to big computers and everything else that is out there, I thought it would be more.
Okay, here it is. It's 2 terabytes, and that's my iTunes library right there. Okay? That's my iTunes library right there. And here's the thing. If I hear a song from my iTunes library, there's a very high likelihood that I'm going to know the song. But there's only not that likelihood. There's also, I'm going to be having all this stimulus around me, right? I'm going to be, watching colors, smelling scents, the heat, the pressure, the everything. All my senses are engaged all the time. So how can we actually have only 2 terabytes of information that our brain can possibly hold? And I thought long and hard about this, and I realized something, which is why meditation would help. I think of the brain as a router.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes, 2 terabytes. I just got a question. 2 terabytes including the unconscious. Yes, 2 terabytes including the unconscious and the subconscious mind. I'm talking about neurological information. Only 2 terabytes. So this is interesting, because I find it's like we have a router here.
Mm-hmm.
But the mind is not the router. This is the buffer that we have. So that meditation allows us to empty that buffer. And so we have more space, you know? I
Yep.
believe the power of language is important, and that's a point I wanted to touch on. Language. For me, language is extremely important. Questions are highly, highly valued in my world because believe it or not, questions saved my life. They literally saved my life. Right now, I would be dead or in very bad condition if it weren't for questions. And I will tell you about that later. But how does language and the power of questions influence your personal brand?
I think that everything that we do starts with our thoughts. They then manifest into language. Language then manifests into action. And actions over actions is what you see in our life status quo. And that day by day then is your life. So a lot of people, they do not live their dream life, or they don't have their dream career because they use phrases, language, and they also think that, which keeps them away from it. And now it depends on what you believe in, but I fully believe that, as you said, there is power in words. And when you say something over and over again, it doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, it's going to become true. And I've learned that since I'm a child. My mom is a very, very powerful manifester, if I want to call it. Whenever she wants something, whenever she decides on something, she would always get it. And I was always fascinated by it. And this is why I always combined hard work with saying out loud what I want. And so I think it makes sense to observe your thought patterns and write down what kind of sentences you say and think, what kind of phrases that are not aligned with what you want to reach. For example, if you say things like, I'm never going to reach that, I'm too young, I'm just a woman, I'm not experienced enough, I'm too stupid, I don't deserve that, I'm just a piece of crap, I never do anything wrong, I never do anything right, why always me? All of this, everything that I've just said, is victim language that will manifest in the sense that the universe says, oh, you want that? There you go, I'm going to give you exactly that. So if you want to be a successful personal brand slash human being slash thought leader slash change maker, you once again need to start with your thoughts, which is meditation, and an expert or a coach, consultant, whatever, because it's all interconnected. And you cannot, like, you, for example, okay, you could also start with your language, but every coach, especially when they have a background in NLP, they will use your language, they will listen to you, they will understand what kind of patterns you have, and then based on that, figure out what your core misunderstanding about you or the world is. Because I think we all have a specific concept about how the world functions and how our role in that world is. And very often it comes from a place of scarcity and not enough. Yeah, and that's the reason. So when you work with a coach, he or she will then get that out of your system, will replace it with a good belief, like, I deserve it, I'm good enough, I become better every day, my life is full of greatness, I'm in perfect health, I'm a money magnet, I'm the most attractive person that I can be, that I am, that I always wanted to be, all of these things, which then turns into affirmations. That has an effect, but it's not about only saying it, you also really need to deeply believe it. And if you want to then create magic in quotation marks, you need to also go with all of your senses through that. How would it feel? How would it taste? How would it smell? How would it sound like if you, let's say, for example, had already that car? You know, you're dreaming of this amazing car, so you think about this car, you say out loud, I'm driving this amazing Ferrari or whatever it is, and then you know, how does it feel like when you're sitting in that seat? How does it smell like when you open it the first day? How does the sound of the engine sound like, etc., etc.? If you cannot visualize it, then go and rent that car for half an hour so that you understand it, your subconsciousness saves that, and off you go. I know that your listeners are primarily women, so if you're not so interested in cars, think about your perfect pair of shoes. Think about that designer dress. So go out there, you know, take it on, move in it, take a picture of it, and make that picture, for example, a background of your desktop or of your mobile, and then really believe that you can have it. Do that over and over again and see what's going to happen.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, this is a powerful stuff because, well, like you said, your mom is a powerful manifester, right?
Mm.
And this is true. Your thoughts become things. Your thoughts do become things. I remember at one point, The Secret was a really big movie, and it spoke mostly
Exactly.
about that. The creative process was
Yeah.
mostly about that. Dean Martini speaks a lot about it as well, and it is a fantastic process. It's interesting because between UCLA and UCLA, sorry, always got to get a little bit of the university spirit there, and Harvard. Sorry. um, they've done some studies on the mind and how many thoughts we have per day. And do you know that on average we have between 60 and 90,000 thoughts per day?
Our poor little brain and mind.
Mm. And then the thing is, how do we focus those 60 to 90,000 thoughts, considering that really, speaking about an evolutionary point of view and a survival point of view, 80% of those thoughts are negative because they are about survival. Yeah, they are about fear. They're running away from fear instead of towards something. You know, they run away from pain instead of towards pleasure. And 93% of our thoughts today are the same as they were yesterday. So if your thoughts become your words become your actions consistently become your habits, and your habits become your character, and your character becomes your destiny. Wow. We really need
Yes.
to learn how to control those 60 to 90,000 thoughts per day. And
Yep.
what gets to me is when it comes to something so important today, which is the production of, and I'm going to use the word production, the production of our personal brand, you know, we need to be careful where our mind is at. I remember that you sent over a series, and I really want people to get this if they can. You tell them how to get it. I've got a couple of links here, by the way, that I'm going to post on some courses that you do. I'll post them later, right here, because I think it's awesome courses. But you did send off some videos, a series of 5 videos. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were talking about vision in one of them. Now, as a leadership coach, one of my only job, really, is to help people see more and see more before than they've ever seen before. And that is what vision is. Okay? That's what vision is. And when I saw that, I went, we're on the same page. I need to listen more to you. All right? How can people access those videos? I want people to have them.
Well,
That's what I'm saying.
you mean the personal branding coaching, the 5-day video series, right? So we're on the
That's
right
the one.
page.
Yes, that's the one.
Exactly. So that's actually a surprise. No, he said it. So
Oops.
people approach me, usually they approach me and they say, Natalia, how do I build my personal brand on LinkedIn? And this is why I've created a free LinkedIn guide that takes you by the hand. And you can download that guide by simply going to a specific web page that I've created. I'm sure you're going to link it. And then you immediately get access to this ebook. But because I really care, and I think you need to work on your personal brand, I've made a surprise gift. So once you've downloaded that, for the next 5 days, you're also going to get access to this free personal branding mini course, in which I really help you working on your personal brand on the inside, on the outside, online and offline. Because I believe that you need to get the basics right in order to go out there and make the change, as we already said earlier. And you need to be great on Google because people will check you out, but you also need to be able to go out there and to introduce yourself at a networking event or at a get together. So this is why my personal branding concept is, I see it as very holistic. A lot of other personal branding experts, they tend to focus on, you know, the brand in the classic way, like what is your color and what's the vibe of your personal brand and what's your vision, which is all important. But for me, we literally start with your morning routine, then we go into profile sharpening, we go into your story, we go into things like how do I create content, how do I do videos, how do I approach people, how do I network, how do I get free public relations, and all of that to understand that in the end, as I truly believe in, life is just a stage, and we are the actors, but we are also the directors, and we're behind the scenes, we're everything. And personal branding is that tool that allows us to sharpen the character, to make the show entertaining, to bring in some drama if needed, and to entertain people, you know, make it for them. Yes, it's you, like you need to sharpen yourself, you need to be awesome in what you do. But in the end, you don't do that for yourself, you do it to serve others. Because I think that the ultimate meaning, purpose, fulfillment, and deep-rooted pleasure. And that pleasure is non-sexual. It's just, it comes from a place of, gosh, life is so flippin' amazing. This kind of pleasure comes from helping people, seeing them transform to a better version, saying no to things that were toxic for them. And then, because they're so grateful and so they so evolve to the next level, they say, I want to become that as well. And they help, you know, their tribe and their people. And this is how we again create the ripple effect. And then through that, design amazing, sustainable social change.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And you know, it's I like the whole theatrical aspect of it, and I can tell for two reasons that it's important to you. Number one, because I do read your LinkedIn, you know. So
Okay.
I would like to know, and I think that everybody would like to know, how that has affected you, viewing life as a stage, how that has affected you, and how it's moved you.
I have been a dancer for over 10 years. So I started with ballet when I was maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6, and I did that for a couple of years. And I didn't like it. And then my parents said, yeah, but you need to do some sort of sports because my parents are both athletes. And then I went to swimming, but I didn't like swimming. And then this whole dance floor or dancing movement started in Germany in the early 90s. And I said, you know what, I want to dance like those people on the stages. Back then, who was in back then? I don't know. Don't ask me who was in back then. Most probably Ace of Base.
Oh,
Bands
yeah.
like that. Or Scooter or I don't know. People like that. And I wanted to be on that stage. I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to express myself. And I have learned that nowadays I don't dance on stages anymore, but I still like to share what I have, which is nowadays my thoughts. And LinkedIn in the end, or any other social media platform, see the word, it's a platform. And another word for platform is a stage.
Stage.
So ta-da! This is your free in quotation mark stage where there are people, you just need to tell them that, here, this is where the music is, this is where the awesomeness is, turn your head towards me, and I promise you that, and then tell them, you know, what you're going to teach them or how you're going to add value to them. And by showing up on that stage on a regular basis, and by coming from a place of authenticity and giving and really truly caring, and again showing up and being consistent, and showing people what you get like why you get frustrated and what's important to you and what your vision is, you will inspire other people and they will help you, they will open doors for you, and vice versa. So I mean, it's crazy. I started on LinkedIn in 2011, I think, and I really started working on it in a very, very focused way in 2015. So now we have 2019. I have built a community of, I think, 63,000 people right now. People, many of them, I've never met them in real life, but they became friends, and they tell, you know, they share their stories with me and their achievements, and they fly me into different countries to you know, so that I'm a speaker, that I share my story, that I share my insights. I have one-on-one clients from everywhere on this planet, and it's just in quotation marks because I understood that I need to use the power of a stage to share something with people, because again, life is just a stage. So my job is to do something for the audience. And for me, LinkedIn was the best stage that was out there, because I know that people who go to this theater are interested in a little bit of higher and maybe even intellectual stimulation, while people who visit a Instagram platform, for example, they would rather be interested, at least that's my perception of it, there's a huge tendency that they rather like things like beauty or fashion or food, and that's just not my area.
But again, you know, they're not mutually exclusive. There are a lot of people who are in
Oh no,
LinkedIn who go
exactly.
to that because they just like different things as well. And
Yeah,
I
of
think it's
course, of
important
course. Yeah.
for everybody to know that, because I mean, you are quite successful in Instagram too.
Yeah, it could be
Yeah.
better. I'm still not where I want to be, but I'm happy with what I have right now.
Um, the day that you are exactly where you want to be, you're gonna look back and you're gonna say, I need to contribute more.
Ah, that's true as well. Very, very true.
Yeah,
I
that
haven't
is
reached
true.
my next milestone. Let me put it that way. I haven't reached that next milestone that I want to reach yet, which is a
So I'm gonna
very
touch that.
important one for me, which will be a game changer.
Okay, now you pushed it. I'm gonna have to ask you, what is it?
At the moment, I have the feeling that I still don't have the right audience on Instagram, if I want to put it in quotation marks. There's still not enough people who know about me. So I think this is why I still don't have the same engagement rates that I have on LinkedIn. I'm super happy with the discussions that we have on LinkedIn about how people network with each other, they start projects with each other. On Instagram, it's good, but it could be so much more. So this tribe building, this yeah, making people really see it as a, hey, listen, my platform is a stage where you can talk to each other, where you can express yourself. It's about really saying what you feel and think. This is still something that that I could definitely improve on Instagram if I compare it directly with what I've achieved on LinkedIn.
So, just to metaphorize it, I'm thinking of a play in, let's say, the West End or in Broadway. You know, they'll have it there, and the main actors are there, and everything's great, and they have long-standing shows that can go on for generations. You know, like the Phantom, for example. You know, or
Yeah.
Les Mis, for example. Yeah, generations.
Cats, Mamma
Cat.
Mia.
I think Cats is out now. I'm not
Is
sure,
it?
but I haven't
Really?
seen Cats
Okay.
in a long time. But you know, Andrew Lloyd Webber, that's a discussion for another time, and I will introduce you to a great friend of mine. Um, I'm not going to mention his name, who is actually he was an amazing director, and he had his own theater school. I think you just have an interesting interaction with him. I speak to him every week. We get together for coffee and everything. Amazing. But anyways, so I'm seeing LinkedIn pretty much as your Broadway or West End show, and then Facebook, which you're also quite successful at, um, and um, and Instagram. They're more like you grab that show and you take it on the road, and you've taken it to Toronto and Montreal.
Maybe, yeah. So now it's about thinking, is it about the show? Is it that I maybe need to change the content? Is it that I need to change the message? Is it that I need to make it more relevant? These are the questions that I have right now. Maybe I should think about the fact that people in different cities have a different mindset and they ask for different things.
Perhaps.
I'm working with somebody on that challenge.
Good. Good. That's awesome. So we have a question here, and it's how do we build a personal brand, and do we need to control every step that we make to make sure that that it's in accordance to our brand, or should it just happen naturally? How do we understand the brand? Well, that part I can't understand perfectly. Okay. And does a real leader have to be strong all the time? That's a lot of questions in one question.
I just want to say there were a few in it. So the first one was, how do I build a personal brand? It really starts with profile sharpening and understanding a few questions like, what do you stand for? What do you really hate? So you have a sort of like anti-hero, as I just mentioned in a post. What is important to you? Which means, what are your values? What are your goals? What do you want to be known for? How are you going to make a difference? What is your trademark? What kind of content do you create? Who's your target audience? So these are all questions that you need to reflect on. This is really the basics or the foundation for your personal brand. And then it depends on the personal branding strategist or coach, but I truly believe in the strategy that I have built, which then goes into understanding your story, nailing your story, sharing your story. It's also about creating a great content strategy. It's about learning how to strategically network. And then in the end, it's about PR, getting public relations to prove that you do not only talk, but you walk the talk. So this is, in a very short form, how you build a personal brand. It is a marathon. It doesn't happen overnight. And some of the answers that you're going to share, you won't be 100% satisfied with, but you then will grow and evolve. And whenever you have a better answer, you go back to that document in which you've mentioned it, and then you simply improve it. The second question was about, can we really control everything? How do I make sure that I control it? I fully believe that control is an illusion. It does not exist. I mean, theoretically, you could walk out of the house tomorrow and just die from a heart attack, or I don't know, if our planet decides to move just a little bit, like we're all going to die anyway. So forget about control. It's not going to happen.
But I'm gonna have to pause you right there. I need to pause you. I'm really sorry. I need to pause you. Just disclaimer. If anything happens to anybody after you've heard this, it is purely coincidental. This is that just so you know. Sorry. Please continue. Just need to make sure that's out there.
Terms and conditions apply. So, it's about understanding that you cannot control, but you can give your best every day, and you can plan your best every day and execute your best. That's everything you can do. And then there's life, and somehow life just happens. You don't have any impact on it. But when you prepare, when you think, and when you execute, and you do that, or you give your very best every day, you will get there, and it will feel less painful. So for me, that's a strategy that helped me a lot. And I forgot the third question. Could you repeat it?
I have to scroll for it because it's a while back.
Yeah, sure, it was.
I think this seems like it's for both of us. Would be does a real leader have to be strong all the
Ah,
time?
exactly. Does a real leader have to be strong all the time? That really depends on what your definition of strength is. A lot of people believe that being strong means being bold, being self-confident, always having an answer, and being as something that we in our society would maybe even describe as male in quotation mark or male energy. And I think that's a very awkward or bizarre way how we are thinking. I think that's like real leadership comes from being your true self and from like being the person that you truly are. And you can be as balanced and as amazing, and you can have worked on everything, on all of your wrong beliefs and traumas and your goals and whatever, your whole life. And then something happens. I don't know, your cat dies, or your favorite actor gets injured, or your favorite vase or your favorite book somehow gets stolen, breaks down, whatever, that will make you sad. That might even make you cry. And it's okay because it's part of life. I think that we also live in this bizarre expectation that life is what we see on Instagram. And Instagram is a show reel of the highlights of our moments out of our life, which are staged. So, in 99.9% of all cases, what you see on social media is positive and oh my God, love my life, and I'm so blessed and abundance and ooh, all amazing. And that person could actually, and sometimes even is, highly depressed, hates himself or herself, and is crying herself to sleep. Just because that person is smiling into the camera says nothing about how he or she feels in a real way. So, to answer your question, the only strength that you need to have as a true leader is the strength in the belief that you deserve better and that there is a better tomorrow and that you can live full of abundance. And when you every now and then feel like as if you want to cry or you want to smash things or tear things into pieces, as long as you don't hurt other people or other living beings, do that and allow yourself to lean back and to let go, because I think this is the most natural and normal thing on this planet. That's at least how I look at life.
So you're totally right. I mean, strength does it comes from your character, not from anything else. It doesn't stem out of perception. You know, real strength is not a perception. It is a character thing, and I believe a little bit different in that in one thing, that a true leader, and a true strong leader is a leader who has empathy for others. It's not about them. It's not about them. That's the key thing. It's not about the leader itself. It's like I said. Remember what I said before we start this conversation. The first statement I said was, "It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the value we can add." Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the mark of a true leader, and a true leader who is strong. To answer this question, really needs to be able to respond yes to the following three. The follower will ask, can I trust you? Can you help me? And do you care about me? And all those things come from empathy. And the yes has to come from the character, their attitude. And I love the fact that we're talking because you're a professional athlete. Yeah. And as a
Yeah.
professional athlete, you understand that attitude is pretty much everything. You know?
Yeah.
It's also about the morality, so character, attitude, morality, and actions. If you're able to answer yes to those three questions with that, then you are a strong leader. This is a
Yeah.
recurring thing. I know this, but a strong leader is still a human being. And because they're
Absolutely.
empathetic and they have the ability to feel the pain and to feel the needs of others, we need to understand that as a leader, you're never going to make everybody happy, and that's going to make you sad. It's not your
That's not
job
your
to please
job.
anybody. That's it. It's not our job to please anybody. We're not people pleasers. We're not clowns out there trying to, hey, let's make your life really happy. No, we're not Prozac. It doesn't work that way. But I think it's very important to understand that the value that is added through strong leadership has a price. And that price is paid greatly by anybody who's a true leader in their energy, in the time and their dedication, and in knowing that a true leader will elevate other leaders beyond them. And the true price for that leader is knowing that they were able to elevate somebody beyond the ability that they had to elevate themselves. That's my belief, and I believe that the price comes with blood, sweat, and tears is a big emphasis. It hurts to see your people hurt. It hurts to see things fall, but everything rises and falls on the shoulders of a leader, and it's responsibility that causes pain, that causes growth, that causes action, that causes inspiration, not motivation. And I know you and I had a little discussion about that. And I think that's important. We need to cry. We need to scream. We need to break once in a while so we can get up and learn. And so we can understand, Yeah, so I hope that
part of being human.
It is. And you see, we're human beings, not human doings. We have to be. And part of that being is a full experience of your emotions, of life. I think that's important. A fear. Fear is important as well. We don't like it, but it's important.
It's part of the equation, it's part of the game. Without fear, you wouldn't push as hard.
No, you get comfortable. No. What's the enemy of great?
The enemy of great, mediocrity.
I would say good. Because if it's all good, why should I be great? If I'm comfortable, why should I get uncomfortable?
Which for me is sort of mediocre.
It is, isn't it? But of course, you are a doctor.
In philosophy.
Exactly. Awesome. So this is another reason I'm so happy to talk to you. We're talking a lot about really, and this is something that I have. I guess it's an internal fight with personal brands. I am aware, and really since I've been seeing you on LinkedIn, I am aware that personal branding is important, and I'm aware that I have not done it. And I think that some of my philosophies have gotten in my way. Yes, because of course I do read a lot. I mean, a lot. And when it comes to production of subjectivity and Simon O'Sullivan's treatise on that, and Guattari as well, I think that sometimes I believe that I don't want to produce something that is so subjective as my brand, but I realize that it is not that at all, is it?
No. Look at it that way. Look at the amount of people who do not know about you, who still live good or mediocre lives, who are still crying themselves into sleep just because you didn't work on your personal brand and you didn't reach enough people. So people are in a bad situation because you're not doing your job.
Thank you.
That was a kick in the or whatever.
Yeah.
This is how I look at it. Right? In the end, again, personal branding is some sort of like a megaphone. It is a magnet. It is something that gives you visibility, gives you a platform, gives you even a bigger stage. And why wouldn't you want to make use of that? Especially as you are so self-aware and you clearly know what annoys the hell out of you, and you have a clear vision of how you think we should live, should in quotation marks, with the core idea that we all can live peacefully while respecting each other, and just, you know, everybody lives how he or she wants, and that's totally awesome because we reached a level of awareness where it's possible. I guess this is your vision and my vision. So we need to get out there and we need to put our faces in front of cameras, on stages in real life, and share our ideas, because there are still so many people who will hear what we know, what we take for granted, because we said it 1,000 of times. They might hear it for the first time, and that piece of information might change or trigger some thought, and then they will start working on themselves, and then they will do whatever it takes to take the next step, etc., etc. So again, if you don't like the word personal branding, then see it as a self-improvement tool, see it as a self-leadership tool, see it as something that will help you to create even a bigger impact that you already have right now. So what are you waiting for?
I think you're right, and I do like the word, the phrase personal branding for one reason. Andy Warhol, Campbell soup. Yeah, he painted a can of Campbell soup. So what's this painting? It's a can of Campbell soup. Simple as that. It is what it is. Personal branding, I think, is the perfect name for it. And the reality is, it's a big eye opener when you say, referring back to the beginning of the conversation, your personal brand is what people will say about you when you're not in that room.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. So you're going to be in Madrid very soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? I mean, I don't know if I can make it, but if I'll make it, I'll go there. Like,
yes, there's an event which is called, I don't know if you call it DES or DES. So it's one of the biggest events in the region for that year, with hundreds of speakers and thousands of guests, everybody in the area of digital transformation, online media, everything when it comes to even AI and growth. So I'm really excited that I will be there and I will deliver, I think, 2 speeches about, one is around personal branding and the other one is about true connection online and how we can become better at it. It's exciting for me because, believe it or not, I cannot remember. I think I've never been to Madrid. I've been to the southern coast of Spain, and I've been to Ibiza and Mallorca a lot of times, hey, because I love great house music, but I've never been to Madrid. So I'm really, really excited to finally check out this beautiful city and meet outstanding people from all around the world, and then hopefully help more people and start some amazing collaborations.
And that's going to be in May, right?
In May, yeah, end of May.
End of May. So I know that there are some people from Madrid listening. Actually, I've seen here some people from Belgium, from Madrid, from Alicante, from Mexico. I've just seen the CEO of Radio Latino Inc., Hola Sonia, so from LA. So there's a lot of, they pop in and pop out, but there's a lot of people from all over the world here. But I know there's some people listening from Madrid. I used to live there.
Oh, amazing.
I lived there for, I think, about 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. I don't even remember how long I lived in Madrid for.
Well, you're a global citizen.
Yeah, but so are you. But this is
not so much as you. Yeah, but it's not a competition.
It's not. It's definitely not. It's definitely not. And I think it's fantastic that we're doing this, and I hope that we have the pleasure to do it again. If you want to, I'm inviting you officially already.
Yeah.
And putting you on the spot publicly.
Yes, I'll say yes.
Cool, fantastic. So we need to say that there's something that really, it's kind of a thing that we have in common, is that we're part of the Forbes Coaches Council together. Mm-hmm. Yay!
Yay!
So that's pretty cool. And you've got a lot of contributions that I've seen, and it's really
Yep.
fantastic. And people can check that out in your LinkedIn as well. I'm really going to implore anybody who is out there who wants to work on their personal brand. Actually, I'm just going to say this. You'll need to work on a personal brand. Face it. I just realized that myself. I understand. So you all need to do that out there. If you're listening to this show, chances are you're an entrepreneur, momtrepreneur, solopreneur, or leader, and you need to work on your personal brand. And Natalia has a tremendous amount of resources. We will post them. Her LinkedIn is amazing. And seriously, I haven't seen such level of dedication and consistency, in anybody else almost. But actually, I can't say.
Well,
Because it
Gary
is just,
Vaynerchuk.
actually, yeah, you're right. But anyways, you're very, 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 very highly consistent. It is there. Boom, boom, boom. What's your secret to that consistency in terms of your schedule? It must be quite hectic. So what's your secret for that consistency?
How's my secret? It's not a secret. I even openly or publicly talk about it. It is that whenever I have an idea for a post, I write it down. Whenever somebody sends me a DM or a question, I write it down. Whenever I get an email with some feedback, I write it down. And I write everything down in just one list. And then once every 14 days, I sit down and I look at all of these again, and then I create short videos around it. And I know that videos between 30 seconds to 1 minute are the videos that people love the most. So I think about what I want to say. 1 minute is approximately 120 words. I add value, I make it catchy, I make it shiny, I record it, send everything to my PA. My PA then adds captions and puts it in a nice frame and adds a header and everything. So I then, just in quotation marks, need to get that material out there every day until I realized, oh, there are only 5 videos left, and then I do the same process again. And with Instagram, it's literally the same, just it is based on pictures. So I would, whenever I have a speaking gig, I would make sure I have pictures. Once in a month, I also have a lifestyle photo shoot in quotation marks with a friend. So I just take my bestie and say, hey, I need your pictures for my Insta. You too, by the way. And I got this book for free, and I got this stuff for free, and I want to advertise for that. So let's take all of the props. Let's take a different t-shirt and maybe different shoes, so it doesn't look as if I wear the same stuff all the time. And that's true. That's a hack. I remember that one. And yeah, and you do that, and then you can literally use your smartphone to shoot these pictures. And nowadays you do not even need to edit them when you have a proper smartphone. So this is the secret in quotation marks. It's not a secret. It's about going out there, doing it, and doing it in a bulk way, so that you do not need to wake up or log in every day at 10 a.m. or whenever you post and say, what am I going to write about today? Oh, I don't know. Because this is not how the content creation process works. It's not that, you like some people most probably think that before I sit down and I post something on Instagram or LinkedIn, most probably I'm sitting down, straight back, close my eyes, deeply breathe in, do that 20 times, and then the sky opens. And then a unicorn comes, and with the unicorn, the glitter comes, and this is when, like, bing, my creative genius appears. That's not how it works.
Well, and if you want to see a unicorn, all you need to do is look in the mirror, right?
Yeah, you are a unicorn.
You see, interesting enough, and this is how the power of personal branding. I was walking down a shop once, and I see this. You know what I'm going to say, right?
I know what you're going to say. Huh?
Okay, so you tell it. You tell it. It's better. Okay.
So
no, I'm going to give it to you.
You were walking down the road, and you were at that random store, and the store had so many different objects. But one of these objects, for some bizarre reason, was a unicorn. And the first thing that you thought about, Natalia, that crazy LinkedIn unicorn. And funnily enough, a lot of people, they are so cute. They take a picture of The most random objects anywhere in the world. I once got a picture from a lady who was celebrating in a club in Ibiza, and there were balloons, and one of the balloons was a unicorn. So she took her phone, snapped a picture, and in the middle of the night sent me an Instagram DM. Saw a unicorn celebrating in Pasha, Ibiza. Had to think of you, and I'm like, wow, the power of personal branding and image.
This is it. This is it. But for me, it was a double thing because I was actually in a German store in Spain. So
okay.
I was like, oh, okay, you know,
The German
which is,
unicorn.
yeah, that's it. And funny enough, a friend of mine had just visited me from Dubai.
Ah, well,
So
then your subconsciousness, gave you all the right hints and clues. So.
yeah, that's it. But I think it's really important that we all understand that personal branding is actually something that we all need to consistently work on. I think we really all can learn a lot from you. And I really, really do implore everybody to go in to Natalia's LinkedIn and check it out, because seriously, there's a lot of content. There's a lot of really useful stuff there every single day, and really cool conversations going on in there, you know?
Yeah.
And another thing is you answer.
Mm.
You answer, which is really cool, because a lot of people waste all that amazing information and they just go, oh, cool. Look how many likes I got. Look how many comments I got. And they do nothing with it. They don't add anything. They don't interact, but you do. And that is fantastic. And I really think that you add a lot of value to everybody out there. And I really do believe that now that I've seen all this, now that we've had this conversation and we've had those interactions on LinkedIn, that I need to work on my personal brand.
Good.
I really believe it, you know,
Good.
and I believe everybody out there have to. It's
Yep.
a must. So
it is not a question.
it's not, and I first want to understand my my blind spots is me, because I ask people about my blind spots, you know. Because I can't really see them myself because I'm blind.
Oh, come on. This is what makes a blind spot a blind spot. You cannot
Exactly.
see it. That's why you have friends and coaches and mentors and whatever, parents to decently ask you questions and guide you towards things you may not see in order to become a better human being and be of more value.
Exactly. But the thing is we need to listen and we need to act on it. You see? Yeah. And I know one of my blind spots is personal branding. So I was, and I'm going to hand in heart, I've been so focused on adding value in other ways. Like I've been so focused in looking at you know, the non-remixed versions of things, because of course we can all go out there and we can all look at books that are written by great coaches and everything. But the reality is that there's so much distraction around us nowadays. And even from, I'm not even going to say even from Napoleon Hill to now, even Napoleon Hill had a tremendous amount of distractions. I mean, come on. I mean, the guy lived in the moment of the Great Depression. How much distraction is there? And up until now, right now, we're more distracted than anything. But if we go down back to Seneca, to my favorite one, and I told you it was going to pop out, Miyamoto Musashi, you know, and all these people who actually would go out for a walk in silence without distraction. Seneca would actually wear, being a really rich person, you know, he would wear just plain robes so he wouldn't actually have to focus on, oh, I got it dirty, you know, just so that he could think. Miyamoto Musashi died in the 1600s. In a cave, where after he finished his life as a strategist, he decided to sit down and write a book of 5 rings. He just sat there and said, and now for the first time ever, I am going to put in paper the way of strategy. And the first thing he said, and it's something I recommend everybody understand clearly, he said, the way of the warrior is, generally speaking, the resolute acceptance of death. Because when that happens, we face the biggest fear. And you know what happens when we get close to fear? It's the only thing that gets smaller as you approach it. Yeah? And I think that I've been focused too much on all those things and that type of growth. And I actually saw this whole personal branding thing in a bit of a fearful manner.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's a limiting belief. And this is why. Even coaches who've been coaching for 23 years need coaches who can show us and empower us and give us the tools that we need to be able to become a better version of ourselves. The best leaders will need it. The best strategists will need it. The best coaches will need it. And you, whoever is out there listening to us today, whether you're in LA listening to this on the radio through Radio Latino Inc., hey, thank you guys so much for the support. Or you are out there in Dubai or in I don't know, the furthest reaches of our waves, you know, of our airwaves. You're listening to this. We really, one, appreciate you. And thank you so much for listening. And number two, we hope that we've added value to you. And I really do hope that you take into consideration the value that's been given to you here today, the value that Natalia will be giving to you every single day through her LinkedIn, and the value that a coach, for whatever you might need them, can add to your life. Because if you want to elevate yourself to a place where you cannot get to on your own, number one, you're going to need a coach. And number two, you need to understand and be humble enough to know that you cannot make it on your own. Because if you try to make it on your own, you're not appreciating the people who have been helping you, supporting you, and so on. And if you don't appreciate them, they will stop appreciating you. So please, look at this in the most pragmatic way possible. Take action. Find a coach. Find a mentor. Get the people behind you so that you can go out to the world and give your message and brand yourself properly. That's what I have to say. Thank you so much, Natalia. Any final words?
Understand that in the end, it's not about being perfect, because a lot of people say, yeah, but it's all about being perceived in a specific way. It needs to be perfect. No. It's not about being perfect. It's about being authentic. So your target is to become the most authentic version of yourself, not the most perfect version of yourself. And the more authentic you become, the more you will master yourself. And it's all about true authenticity and true mastery. Forget perfection.
I love that. I love that. Let's forget perfection. Let's strive for excellence. Yes, absolutely. Nat, thank you so much for this. Really appreciate it. And I'm really looking forward for our next one. We'll be in touch real soon for that. And please remember, we're going to be posting the links. And there are a few questions that probably went, because I only have like this little space where I can see questions.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll both answer them as we see them.
Yes. Sounds very good. Yeah, I'll definitely check in tomorrow morning or afternoon again and then answer all of the questions that appeared, either that we couldn't read or that might appear from people who will watch the whole conversation afterwards. So we'll not watch it live, but maybe later on.
Brilliant. So we'll keep an eye on it. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
Likewise.
And cool. Excellent. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Take care. Speak soon. Bye.
Bye.